Hello again. I've spoken before about the fact that black students at universities in this country fail to get as many firsts and upper seconds as white students. Going back a few years, well, 5 years in fact, the Office for Students, the government watchdog whose role it is to protect the interests of university students in Britain, issued a statement in which regret was expressed for the attainment gap in the outcomes for those graduating from the nation's university. Chris Millward, who was Director for Fair Access and Participation at the Office for Students, said at that time, while there is evidence that the gap in attainment for black students compared to their white peers is closing, it remains far too high. At 96 of the 97 higher education providers for which dashboards report ethnicity attainment gaps, black student attainment is lower than we see for white students. Well, since the government holds the purse strings, universities realised that they had better do something about this. 5 years later, we may see the results. It is a dismantling of our traditional system of higher education, because if black people can't cope with it, then we must simply do away with it entirely. No, I'm not exaggerating or making that up before the literal howls of outrage start to be summoned up. The policy is very clear at Birmingham University, where the business school, which has many black students, has decided to abolish any exams which black people do poorly at. If they can't pass them, then nobody must be allowed to do so. Of course, no one actually says this out loud. Instead, the whole business is beautifully disguised by some of the most entrancing jargon I've ever had the pleasure of reading. Allow me to quote a sentence. Anita Letano, a research fellow at Birmingham University, sums up the matter simply when she says that a big part of the decolonisation process is being reflexive on our own practices and understanding our positionality. I couldn't have put it better myself. What's that you say? You have no idea at all what this means? That is, of course, because the aim of the decolonisation process is to conceal what is being done rather than to shed light upon it. Positionality is a jargon word which means that you must analyse the advantages which you might hold over others. For example, if you are white, male, old, and heterosexual, this is a big problem because you're bound to have a set of assumptions. Reflexivity means considering those assumptions and, as the expression is, getting past them. I give links and references to all this in the description to this video. Here is what the report into black underachievement at the business school says. Many business schools continue to use traditional assessment methods that perpetuate systemic inequalities, often focusing on students' deficits, such as penalizing students for language skills and expression in essays or the skills of writing under pressure in exams, rather than engaging with processes that foster deep critical reflection, co-creation, and creativity. If we continue to operate deficit-focused assessment practices, we will continue to perpetuate inequalities and increase the attainment gaps that characterize our award and progression data. Let me translate that into English for you guys. Black students are not as good as everybody else in writing clearly in English, and they can't complete their exams as quickly as white people. Unless we do away with exams, then black students will continue to fail at them. That is the crux of what is being said here. Or, as the authors of the report put it, perhaps students should participate in collaborative developmental assessment models, removing traditional grading structures to facilitate a more supportive, low-stakes assessment experience. A low-stake assessment experience. Yes, I think that just about sums up the whole enterprise. This approach is now being looked at in many universities as a way of preventing black students from getting low marks and thus not gaining first-class degrees. Because, as a report from Birmingham suggests, black students cannot write clear and concise English or finish their exams as quickly as white people, we ought to stop holding examinations at all. I will leave viewers to decide for themselves if they feel this to be a prudent or wise move in higher education.